You want to read that again, Brother Thomas?
Okay. Daniel 11, verse 20. There will arise after him one who will send out an extractor of tribute to enhance the splendor of the kingdom. But after a few days, he will be destroyed, though not in anger or battle.
All right. So this verse was actually fulfilled back in 2022. Fulfilled, maybe not completed. I'm not sure how to say it, but this is talking about the government in Israel, okay? And the Lord led us into these scriptures here. And verse 20 was talking about when, what was the name? Bennett, Naphtali Bennett, who was prime minister before in 2021, okay? And his government seemed to be in good shape, and then there was a prophecy that came that there was going to be an election in Israel by the end of 2022. And within about 6, 7, 8 weeks, maybe, and Bennett was in government at that time, and Bennett's party began to dissimulate, to destroy, to just crumble down. People from his party began to leave him, and they left, and then he just resigned. And there was no government, no prime minister at that time in Israel. And after a little research, we found out that I'll just use the King James here. It says that then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes in the glory of the kingdom, which was the same thing that the net said, right? It just the key, the way it was written here was impressive, because then we got an article. I don't know if do you have it, the article, Brother James? Or is it too far? You don't know what's that? If you don't, that's fine.
It's too far. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. And
I can find it. Yeah.
There was an article from the what's it called again?
Jerusalem Post?
Yeah, from the Jerusalem Post. And the title of it, right in the title of it, was talking about Netanyahu, not Netanyahu, but Bennett being a raiser of taxes. And Bennett boasted, where I remember reading the article, Brother James had saved it, and he shared it with me, and it says that he raised more money than in I think in 6 months than they did in I don't know how many years any other governments ever did. So that is probably one of the reasons is government began to crumble down, because people were surtaxed, And but here's what is interesting in that verse is, but within few days he shall be destroyed. When we say few days in prophecy, we know we get to be talking about months or maybe even a year. But that's about how long Bennett's government lasted. And it says is he shall be destroyed. But here's a key where prophecy language is sometimes we have to just get the revelation. But it says neither in anger nor in battle. He didn't go fight, and nobody came to make war with him, but his government disintegrated just by itself, just like this. It was destroyed neither in anger nor in battle. Okay, but it says that after that in verse 21 that in his estate shall stand up a vile person. Sorry, go ahead, Brother Thomas, keep reading. Read verse 21.
Okay. Then there will arise in his place a despicable person to whom the royal honor has not been rightfully conferred. He will come on the scene in a time of prosperity and will seize the kingdom through deceit.
All right, so the election was a very long process. Actually, it started. When was the election? I think it was November 1st. The election was on November 1st, and there was several parties. Itamar Ben-Gvir had the Otzma Yehudit party. Netanyahu has his own party, the Likud party. Bezalel Smotrich has his own party, and there was quite a few parties. And the way the politics, the government works in Israel, and we could see that this was designed that way by masterminds to get to that place, or where the government, there cannot be a government, a party in government, unless they have won at least 61 seats of the 120 seats available. So they have to be a majority. And the way it works, of course, everybody saw that the strongest government party was the Likud party with Netanyahu. But Netanyahu did not get enough seats to have the government given over to him. And but he was the strongest. And what happened there is the way it works, when in their election in Israel, they're given a time to talk together, the different parties, and form a coalition of parties. Okay, the parties join together, and if they're able to have enough seats together, then this party becomes the government, or the coalition of parties that have joined with the main party has the government of the nation. And of course, we watch all this every day. Where we're watching, looking what's going on, and until we got to the place where we pinned down Ben-Gvir, that he was the only one that really seemed to have all the characteristics to fit in as the Antichrist, as the man of sin. And but he, and when we look at his records, his past record, his history, he was definitely, first of all, he was a vile person, or a despicable person. And of course, that made a lot of people scared of what was going to happen if he win the election, or if he gets into the government. And so Netanyahu had to do something to win the election. So he got the different parties. He searched who is going to win, who is going to join with him. And of course, he relied a lot on getting Ben-Gvir and getting Smotrich and a few others. And next thing you know, well, they had enough seats. They had, I think, 63 or 64 seats. So they got the government, and they sworn in, all the members were sworn in as ministers into this government under Netanyahu. But as verse 21 says, that to whom about this vile person is going to come in and eventually take the place of Bennett, even though he's not fully there yet, but yet he's going to come in, but they did not give him the honor of the kingdom. And if you understand what that means, that he did not get elected as prime minister, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flattery. So he got into this government, the Israeli government, under the cover of Netanyahu. So, and then there were all of these ministers were given a place, as minister of the government, in the government, and this is where Ben-Gvir was given the Ministry of National Security. All right. So where do we go from here? What is taking place? All right. So this is how this government came about in Israel. And in verse 22, it says, "And with the arms of a flood shall they be overflown from before him, and shall be broken, yea, also the prince of the covenant." You can read the net so we can see how that's, it says it in the net.
Okay. What verse is it? Oh, it's right there in front of me. And in his estate shall stand up. Oh, 22?
Yeah, 22. Yeah, I just finished explaining 21. Yeah.
It's probably easier to read it. I have armies will be suddenly swept away in defeat before him. Both they and a covenant leader will be destroyed.
All right. So the covenant leader, or the prince of the covenant here, we understood that it was the coalition of all the different parties that came together and that joined with Netanyahu. And yet we know that behind this government, the one that is really pushing for the genocide, that is really pushing for all this ethnic cleansing and the purification of the land, is Ben-Gvir. And it says armies going to come in, or the arms of a flood, or armies like an invasion. So we're getting very close to this happening, where tension is building up between Iraq and Israel and the U.S. and next thing you know, we're going to get Russia probably involved in this, and China, and this whole thing, right? But it says that with the arms of a flood, or armies are going to come in. Read that again, Brother Thomas, in your version. Your mic is off.
Armies will be suddenly swept away in defeat before him.
Okay, just stop there for a minute. Armies, so that means there's going to be armies come up against him. But they're going to be swept away. He's going to be stronger than those armies who are going to come against him, because he's going to have the backing from the U.S. and the backing from NATO, and which he already does. They already do, right? Israel, anything Israel wants, the U.S. is behind it, or is with it, right? So army is going to be swept away from before him. Keep going.
And okay, both they and a covenant leader will be destroyed.
All right, the covenant leader, the prince of the covenant, the prince of the coalition is Benjamin Netanyahu. He's the one who's at the head of this government, right? So he's going to be also, there's going to come in this war, this is going to be the turning point when Itamar Ben-Gvir becomes the prime minister of Israel, because something is going to happen to Netanyahu, where from the different versions we looked at, it wouldn't be surprising that he gets killed. Okay, were you going to say something, Brother James, or?
My micro is open. No, I just wanted to I find
the article.
Yes.
Okay.
This is, because Naftali Bennett was prime minister between the 13th June.
Okay.
Until the 30th June 2022. So almost 1 year.
Okay.
In power.
Okay.
So this article was published in August.
Okay.
2021. So he was already prime minister, and that is the article.
I
that
can't.
Netanyahu,
I
that
can't
was
see the
in
article.
opposition. You don't see the article?
Me either. It's all black.
Wait, I'm gonna start again.
Yeah. Okay. Oh,
You
there it
see the
is.
article?
Right.
You see the article now?
Yep.
So
Nathaniel.
you see,
Okay, go ahead.
yeah. So this is August, because if you see,
Oh yes, August.
Bennett was prime minister during this. So 13 June 2021 until the 30 June 2022.
Yeah,
So this article was published in August.
Okay.
So if Natalie Bennett was the prime minister, and Netanyahu, who was at that time in the opposition, said that they are raising taxes. So that is how the government of Bennett was calling.
Yeah,
harming
citizens. Yes. All right. So
yes.
So, and I think Jerry had found an article where it says he was called a raiser of taxes or something like that. Yeah. So so that really confirmed. I think God had given to me the verse after verse 2021, and when we found that, and then not long after, Jerry got an article, found an article, and where that confirmed about verse 20 just before. So we know this is no accident, no mistake. God was definitely leading us in all this, right? So you want to put back the scriptures, Sister Lisa, in yeah. Oh, that's why we had to. Okay, you probably had to. Okay, stop sharing. All right, so so this is where we're seeing that in verse 22, there's going to be some through some wars, there's going to be a big armies come against Israel, more than likely Iran, but they're not going to win. They're going to be overcome. How did it say? It says you're overflown, but how is it going to say? How did it say in your Bible, Bud Thomas? Army shall be swept away. Okay.
Be swept away, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And it says overflowing from before him and shall be broken, yea, also the prince of the covenant.
No, that's fine. I'm sorry.
Okay. And so what is going to happen? So this has not been fulfilled yet, that verse 22, but we are seeing this approaching, right? As tensions build up, as they are determined to the ethnic cleansing, to the purifying of the land and all this stuff. And when that happens, when Netanyahu's out of the way, Ben-Gvir will take over. Will take over his place because he's the vile person that is mentioned about, or the despicable person that is mentioned in verse 21, right? Right, see, a vile person or despicable person. So that's who Ben-Gvir is. And I mean, he's a vile person. He's murdered people just because they were Palestinians. And there was, pictures taken of him, and he had a gun, and he pointed his gun at people. He was in the parking lot, and did all kinds of stuff. This guy is an assassin, a murderer, and he's not afraid of killing people. And right now, even almost throughout all the world, the government leaders are assassins. They're murderers. There's a few countries right now in Africa that Brother TJ was sharing with me that are opposing this one world government. But America, they're totally sold out to the great whore. Of this whole system of this fake nation of Israel, the Zionist movement. Okay. All right, let's move down. We'll go see at verse 23, see what that looks like. Okay. Yeah, leave 22 up so in case I have to go back. All right. Okay. So the prince of the covenant in that war, the prince of the covenant is going to be also broken, or there's different if you look at different versions, it used different names that really make it sound like he's going to be eliminated, or however,
But the word broken is the same word when that in the visions of the king Nebuchadnezzar, when you see that all the enemy that's gonna come against this mountain shall be broken,
right,
and that thought about the mountain of the kingdom of God,
right, yes,
so did not
okay.
exist. So it meant really, get killed.
Destroyed, yes, and all right, so and when that happens, we read that from verse 23 says, and after the league made with him, he shall work deceitfully. For he shall come up and shall become strong with a small people. Now we're going to look at this here. So after the league made with him, so after this attack of armies against him, this big thing that will be noticeable, because Netanyahu is going to be taken out. It's difficult though, right? Sometimes with the words, as we say, well, Netanyahu, Bennett, it says he's going to be destroyed, but he didn't get destroyed, got killed, but his government got destroyed, right? It got disintegrated, but yeah, and I had looked at a few other passages, but broken more than likely, he's going to be, yes. Anyway, he's going to be out. And then at this point, Ben-Gvir will get his followers to go along with him, and there's going to be a league made with him, like a covenant type of league with him, and he's going to work deceitfully. And then this is where he's going to use up. What was it in verse 21? Flattery, yes. He's going to use flatteries to, and he can. We've watched him, we've listened to him, and sometimes he can do that. Excuse me. And he shall come up and shall become strong with the small people. So whatever the small people that's going to make a league with him, they're going to become strong. And let's read verse 24 now.
In a time of prosperity, for the most productive areas of the providence, he will come and accomplish what neither his fathers nor their fathers accomplished. He will distribute loot, spoils, and property to his followers, and he will devise plans against fortified cities, but not for long.
Okay, we'll do it in the King James. You want to read that, Brother Frank, in the King James? If you're up to it, we'll just use the both version, but it was good.
Verse 23 here?
24. We're in 24.
Okay. And he shall enter peaceably even upon the fattest places of the providence, and he shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. He shall scatter among them the prey and spoil and riches. Yea, he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds even for a time.
Okay. So here's the first line in verse 24. The King James says he shall enter peaceably, but I think the net had it a little bit differently, right?
Right. It says in a time of prosperity.
Okay, in a time of prosperity or a time of peace. Okay, so after this war that's going to happen, there's going to be a time of peace. Not that long. I'll get back to this point here that says even for a time, but it says in the time of peace, or you shall enter peace upon the fattest places. And I'll explain this word. You guys say it, the word providence, but it's not providence, it's province. And to us Canadians, that's a common word, province. It's the same as a state. What you guys...
I pronounced it wrong. I'm sorry.
But Frank read it. He said the same thing, but that's normal because you guys don't have provinces over there. Okay, we have provinces. Territories are called province instead of state. You know, you have the New York State. Well, here we got the province of Quebec. So that's what that means. Fattest places of the territory. Okay, of the province. Okay, and so he's gonna be king there for a while. It's gonna be a time of peace, and he's gonna go in and he's gonna pick up the spoils. I guess there's a lot of spoils to pick up from all the destructions that they've done, and that it will keep on doing. That will come from this war as well. But here's a very interesting line here. I'll have to get you to read it again in your net, but I'll go with the line here in the King James. He shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. Why don't you read that line, Brother Thomas, please, so we can compare.
Okay. He will come and accomplish what neither his fathers nor their fathers accomplished.
Very good. Okay. So, this is very, it's coded, but it's not that hard to understand again. When did the state, that fake state of Israel, came into place? It was in 1948, if I'm right. So we have about 2 generations or 3 generations. The ones that came in, the generation after, and the one that Ben Gvir is in right now, the current generation. So what he's saying is what the scripture says here: you shall do that which his fathers have not done. He's going to do something that the generation before Ben Gvir did not do, nor the generation before that generation. What do you think this might be?
Oh, get all the people out of that area.
Absolutely. And furthermore, build a temple.
Build the temple, yeah.
Right? That's why they went back there. That's why they went to that land, with the purpose of taking possession of it and building a temple.
Wasn't that the whole problem with Israel? They never, got rid of the people that they were supposed to get out of their land. And it always caused a snare to them.
Well, actually, the real problem, yeah, they loved other gods. They loved strange gods. That was the problem. Yeah. And they shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. Okay? So the 2 generations since this state of Israel became a nation, a state. Hey. You okay, Brother Frank?
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, all right. So he's going to do that which his fathers have not done, or his fathers' fathers. Now we'll look at this, and And right now what's happening there in Jerusalem is something that has not happened so far before, since that state of Israel came there. And he says, he shall scatter among them the prey, the spoil, and the riches. Well, what's that talking about, right? Obviously, that's all goes right along with the ethnic cleansing and the getting rid of that dome of the rock and all this stuff, and whatever they have, he's gonna make gifts, just give that to people. And he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds, even for a time. Now, I know that the net says not for long, but if we use that code, we may want to think that when you have this other place, I'm not saying that we can necessarily apply the rule here, but where in Daniel 12 and verse 7, it says, it shall be for a time, times, and half a time. So time in Daniel 12 means about a year. So this could be it right here, right? This could also be about a year, but other versions don't necessarily translate it that way. So I won't be dogmatic about it. This is absolutely 1 year necessarily, because we read it in French. We don't have the same thing. You read it in the net, it says it's written a little bit different. So, but anyway, it's not going to be long, real long, but it could be a year, roughly. That there's going to be some time of peace. And then at that time, he's going to be the prime minister of Israel.
Little horn.
The little horn, exactly. And what does the little horn mean? Anybody want to explain that? Yeah, we haven't talked about that for a long time.
Sure haven't.
Right. What does a horn represent in prophecy?
Kingdom.
Yeah, not false, but it's the king of a single nation.
Right.
Not the king of an empire, right? Not an emperor.
Not an emperor.
Okay.
Like a head of state or something.
Pardon me?
A head of state, so to speak.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Like for example, right now in the U.S., the horn is Donald Trump.
Okay.
Last year it was Biden, right? In France, it's Macron. In Israel, it's Netanyahu. But at that point,
right? Ruler.
A ruler, yes, correct. Yes.
Ruler,
yes.
Right.
So, yep. We can look at Daniel 7:24, so we don't go too far. We can just go to chapter 7. And
the 10 horns mean that 10 kings will arise from that kingdom.
Well, they're already existent. They already exist. Right now, we could probably name them. Definitely, and each horn represents not only the king, but also its nation, right?
I better wait till she pulls it up before I read.
Okay, verse 24. 7:24.
The 10 horns mean that 10 kings will arise from that kingdom. Another king will arise after them, but he will be different from the earlier ones. He will humiliate 3 kings.
Correct. Yes, he will put down 3 kings, and that was just explaining here. I think it was verse 9. You want to move to verse 9, the same chapter, Sister Lisa. I think it's verse 9. No, it would be before, would be verse 8. 7. This would be the fourth beast of Daniel chapter 7's vision. Go ahead, you can read that.
After these things, as I was watching in the night visions, a fourth beast appeared, one dreadful, terrible, and very strong. It had 2 large rows of iron.
Oh, what happened? We lost you, Brother Thomas. I can't hear you. His mic is on, but I can't hear you. But I don't know
Really?
why you're.
Wow.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, so now it works. Okay. We lost you
Yeah, it
about.
goes 10 seconds, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, my goes in and out. After these things, as I was watching in the night visions, a fourth beast appeared, one dreadful, terrible, and very strong. It had 2 large rows of iron teeth. It devoured and crushed, and anything that was left it trampled with its feet. It was different from all the beasts that came before it, and it had 10 horns.
Verse 8.
As I was contemplating the horns, another horn, a small one, came up between them, and 3 of the former horns were torn out by the roots to make room for it. This horn had eyes resembling human eyes, and a mouth speaking arrogant things.
All right. Okay. So the 10 horns with this beast, this beast here with the fourth beast with the 10 horns and iron teeth, and this is a multinational military alliance. Okay, where it's got 10 horns, mean 10 nations, but those are not the only nations. The reason it gives 10 is probably just the 10 most prominent nations that are part of that military alliance. And the only alliance of that kind in the world right now is NATO. Okay, so this beast here in chapter 7 is NATO. Okay, it's got, and this is going to be a great part of the government of the Antichrist, of the last one world. What do you call it? Empire, right? The last empire. This is going to be the military power of that empire. It's NATO. It's a multinational. How do we get multinational? Because it shows 10 horns, and each horn represents a nation. But there's more than that, because we know NATO has 32 nations right now. But the 10 is probably showing the most prominent ones. Okay, the most powerful one, we could probably say definitely US, France, England, there's Turkey, there's Italy, probably. There's a few others, right? Some of the most powerful ones. All right, and the 10 horns. But it says in verse 8, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn. Oh, so right on that head, that beast, there's 10 horns. It has 10 horns, but now another little horn comes up, and that horn plucks down 3 other horns by the root. So it takes away 3 horns, three horns that probably are going to try to oppose him, that are going to resist him, and don't want him there. They won't want Ben Gvir in there and Israel, but he's going to win regardless, and he's going to be brought in there. And I'm sure Donald Trump is going to play a big role in getting him in there. Okay.
It's amazing because NATO was like a non-entity so far.
No, exactly.
I wanted to bring something in the verse 7. Why we say that is like it's a NATO, because in the vision he saw 4 animals, and the 3 first animal he described it like a single animal, but the last one, the 3rd beast, he did not even see what type of animal, because it was diverse. In the verse at the end of the verse 7, he said it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. So it means that it's not even possible. It was not a single nation that we can say that, that is an animal, but it was diverse. That is why we see that it's an alliance of many nations, not just one.
A military, yeah.
Yes.
Alliance. And exactly. It was diverse, different from the other ones.
Yes.
And also it has 10 horns, so, which is also several nations, right? But definitely, and that's why when these false prophecy teachers want to say, well, this is the revived Roman Empire, well, it cannot be, because it says it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. It's not the same beast.
And also how that is different, because I hear someone that bring that, because the 3rd beast are 4 kings, 4 horns.
4 heads.
Yes, they think also that the 3rd beast is like this, almost like identical like the 3rd one, but the identity that really distinct the 3rd beast with all the other, because it was diverse.
Yes.
Many.
Yeah.
It's not just because it has many horns. It's because it's diverse, that those other beasts doesn't have that.
Yes, it's different than the other beasts. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not even an animal.
Right. It's not even an animal.
It's a war machine.
Right.
Yeah. So so here we got, then after that we have this little horn that gets on that head, and 3 of the horns that were there before are taken out of the way because they resist him. All right. So let's go back to we understood, right, in verse 24, where it says that the horns are kings. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Go back, and we've explained that. Okay. That kings in this language, in this time. Nowadays there's no monarchies, right? It's democracies, and kings are prime ministers or presidents. Okay, so even if it calls them kings, we just understand it's how did you say it's the leaders of a nation? Rulers. Yes.
Rulers,
yeah. Okay, so let's go back to chapter 11, and we'll just look at a few more things here. We're at verse 24, I believe. Oops, it only went to 8. Okay.
You can also erase the number there. Just wrote 11.
So I have a question.
Yep.
So am I understanding little horn has a lot of power, right?
Yes, he will definitely. Definitely become the main one who's going to be in charge of all this.
But I mean, even now he has power.
Yeah,
He took 3 out.
yeah, and he's not in his role yet as Little Horn.
Right. I remember you saying that before.
Right. But yeah, and of course, when we look at it, as we understand that he's called Little Horn because of that little nation of Israel, right? That's what he called Little Horn. And you know how much power that Israel has over all these great nations, and through the manipulation and the lobbying that they've been doing for years.
Right.
They control the U.S. completely. They control England, France. They already control most of these nations, but not as directly as it will be. And therefore, he does have a lot of power. And what is going to happen, those 3 horns that he's going to subdue, is going to be likely. I would think that probably one of them will likely be Turkey, because Turkey is a Muslim nation. They're not going to want him there. And, and this, I'm not sure who else we could probably, if we did look into it a little bit, but we haven't really identified specifically who they are. But we know they're the 10 most prominent nations in NATO. And 3 of them are going to oppose him. They're not going to want him there. But he's going to be placed in there. And I think, and I link that to Revelation 6 and verse 1. Let's read that, Sister Lisa, please. That's the opening of the seals.
Did I lose my job?
We're not going to have any money. Our money is going to be no good. I don't know how we're going to eat. But verse 6, verses 1 and 2. You want to read? Oh, you read? What do you mean talking about losing your job of reading?
Yeah.
Why did I say read? I said, let's go there. You can still do the reading.
Nope, you said.
No. I said let's read it and let's go there.
You're still the reader, Brother Thomas.
Thank you. Someone cares. Thank you. Let me take my thumb out my mouth. And I looked, Revelation 6, verse 1. And I looked on when the Lamb opened one of the 7 seals, and I heard one of the 4 living creatures saying with a thunderous voice, "Come."
Verse 2.
So I looked, and here came a white horse. The one who rode it had a bow, and he was given a crown, and as a conqueror, he rode out to conquer.
Okay. So the one on the white horse, is the Antichrist.
Yeah.
And the white horse represent, what does white mean when you put up a white flag?
Surrender.
Yeah, surrender or peace, right? You're asking for peace. So white, it's a time of peace. And he that sat on him had a bow. There's no arrow, just a bow. So that means he wants to conquer, but he's got no means to do it. He's ready to conquer. He's on the horse. He's got a bow, but it's got no ammunitions. And a crown was given to him. A crown to what? What kind of crown? This is where he is invited to come on top of that head of the 4th beast. to become the little horn on top of that head.
He is already the little horn.
Yeah, he's already little horn, prime minister of Israel, but he's not on the head yet.
Right.
And now he is given the crown. Come and be on top of that head. Come, be with us. But 3 are not going to agree with this. There's 3 kings that won't like that. They don't want this guy here. He's insane. He's a madman. But he's going to subdue them.
So you would say that there's going to be some type of war since they're going to be uprooted.
Well, not necessarily, and he's not necessarily going to kill them, but they're going to be kicked out, or they're no longer going to be in the game.
Right.
Right? And are the nations going to be there? Possibly, but these 3 will be replaced by other kings, by other men to take their role. Okay? Because later on we find that the beast has still 10 horns.
Okay.
Okay, in chapter 13 we find that it still has 10 horns. But at that point, the little horn is no longer there because he has now become the head. At this point here, at the beginning of the 7 years, he becomes part of the head of the beast, but he's not the head. He's the little horn on that machine, on that war machine, on that. Okay, but in the middle of the tribulation, when John sees the beast that comes out of the sea with the 7 heads, and there's that one head that has 10 horns and crowns on the horns, but it does not have a little horn. It's not 7 horns, but it's 10 horns, and he has become the head at that point. Okay, so those 3 kings are going to be replaced. Not necessarily that the nations are going to be discarded from being part of the NATO, but the 3 kings that oppose him will be subdued, taken out of the way. Okay.
But they'll be replaced, you said.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. That's how I see it, because there's still 10 horns when you get to the middle of the week, right? So that those 3 would have to be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So
Is there any talk? Is there any talk about NATO being more active in world affairs?
Oh yeah.
Like the news.
Well, the war between Russia and Ukraine. It's not a war between Russia and Ukraine. It's a war between Russia and NATO. They're just using Ukraine as a scapegoat, as the appearance of it. But it's really a war that was provoked by NATO.
Right, I think I remember hearing that Putin was angry about something like that.
Yes, because Putin says, "I'm never gonna attack Ukraine as long as you sign us a legal official document from NATO that they will never allow Ukraine to join them."
Right, I remember something like that. Yeah,
and they refused to do it. They wouldn't do it. So, and he did it for a few years. And so finally, well, they wouldn't do it, and he knew it was coming, and so he attacked them. But they provoked him, right? So it was a NATO thing. It was not about Ukraine. It was about NATO wanting to set a place right on their doorstep.
you know the media doesn't give that narrative. They give a totally different narrative.
You have to go to different places like what's his name? That Colonel. I just seen a post from him today, and watch. Forget, but he. Do you remember his name?
No, I just wanted to say that in the old USSS, no, because before there were two alliance, global alliance, like USSS and NATO.
Right, USSR.
Yes, and Ukraine was a part of that.
Right. So
that is why, they don't even want Ukraine to join the NATO, because if they join, they're gonna have someone in their
to betrayal.
near them, yes, betrayal to even look at them, everything, all the things that they need to do. So that is where the conflict came from.
Right.
And normally the NATO was not even supposed to exist, because the reason why they were created were already, fulfilled. But, because they need to be there to fulfill the prophecy, that is why they still be there. Because normally with the dismantle of the USS, they were not even supposed to be there anymore.
Right. Yeah. All right. So we see here that at the first seal, Ben-Gvir, the man of sin, is not in charge yet, because he has to receive this invitation, this crown. So it's not something that he takes by force. He is given that crown. And then while we're at it, let's read verses 3 and 4 of Revelation 6. All right, go ahead, bud.
Verse 4.
3 and 4.
Galatians chapter 6. Everybody's talking to me now. Chapter 6. I'm going to ignore that one.
Yeah.
4 is Galatians 6, verse 3 and 4, right?
Yes.
All right, and in that, for if anyone thinks he is something when he is nothing, he deceives himself.
No, not Galatians. Revelation.
Oh, Revelation. Okay, I thought that was...
Yeah.
So much.
Jesus. Okay. Then when the Lamb opened the second seal, you know what? Maybe the Galatian passage is for me. Then when the Lamb opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature saying, "Come." In verse 4, and another horse, fiery red, came out, and the one who rode it was granted permission to take peace from the earth, so that people would butcher one another, and he was given a huge sword.
Wow. Funny how interesting wording, but that's okay. Yeah. So another horse that came out, fiery red. And the horses, the seals in the first half, they are just representing different phases during the rise of the Antichrist or the conquest of the world. And in here, the fiery red horse, well, what does red look like? What does red make you think of?
Blood.
Right, absolutely. Blood, right? And power was given to him to do what? Oh, permission. I like that. Permission. So that means he's still not in charge. He has to receive permission from someone to do what he's going to do. Okay? And permission was given to him to take peace from the earth, and something else is given to him. And obviously that will be given to him by humans, by human hands, not by, we think, okay, the devil's giving, no, it's talking about he's receiving stuff from human entities. Here, what is it that is given to him? Okay, it says he takes peace from the earth. And what? It says they should butcher one another, but it says, King James says that they should kill one another. What does that sound like?
So what?
War. People killing one another, right? Fiery red horse. The horse is red. He takes peace from the earth. They kill one another. And then there was given unto him a great sword. What is a great sword?
NATO armies.
A weapon, right? A great weapon. And exactly, it's the NATO alliance. It's the army. So he's given, now go ahead, take NATO and use it for your own purpose, for your own wars, for what you want to do. Even though he was part of it, at this point in the second seal, he's given more than just a crown, more than just invited to sit as part of on the head, as part of the team of these kings, but he is now given the full authority over that army, that alliance. He is given that great sword. Okay, and if we keep on reading with the third seal, nobody gives him permission for anything. He just does what he wants. Okay?
During the first seal is called the eighth, and during the second, it becomes the seventh head, and the first during the first half is the earth king.
I think he becomes the head at the midpoint of the tribulation.
So the seventh head at the mid, but before is the earth king between the 10.
Right. Depending if those kings are replaced right away or not, I think it doesn't. We're not sure. We just see them in the middle. But definitely, that's that seventh, that 8 somewhere.
Yes, that Revelation.
But that requires more explanation.
Yes.
Yeah. That is a very good explanation that we could give on there. So we covered quite a bit there that we hadn't talked about for a while, and with what's happening now, and we're seeing Ben Gvir, and he's going to be more and more and more on the news. I think he's going to be more in the in the forefront, where so far he's been. But I think this war is really. I think it's going to be what is being talked about now between Iran and Israel and the U.S. and Iran's going to get some help from China or from Russia or something like that. Anyways, so.
That he has so much power. He can just kick the government when he wants, and then get in as he wants. It's like the government is his house, like. He played like he won.
Yeah. Let's go just take a quick peek back into Daniel 11, and then we'll probably stop there. I just want to show something, because there's something going on there that after we see there that in the second seal now he's going to have free access to do what he wants with NATO, right? With a great sword that's given to him. All right, and we see that verse 24 starts with the time of peace there, probably starts to go into the tribulation, because obviously this thing that he's going to do that his fathers have not done, or his fathers' fathers, well, that includes building the temple, and they're going to start those sacrifices, animal sacrifices, and but things are going to go back to the war, right? As we see in the second seal, where peace is going to be taken from the earth, people are going to kill one another, and then let's read verse 25, because I think we got something here that is he's going to show a development of things here. Go ahead, Brother Thomas. You can read 25.
He will rouse his strength and enthusiasm against the king of the south with a large army. The king of the south will wage war with a large and very powerful army, but he will not be able to prevail because of the plans devised against him. 26.
No, that's good. Okay. Okay. King James says, he shall stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south with a great army. What do you think that great army is going to be?
NATO.
And that looks like the second seal. Verse 24 looks like the first seal, and verse 25 looks like the second seal. Okay? And he shall stir his power against the king of the south with a great army. And the king of the south, who do you think that is? Right south of Israel.
It's not. It's Egypt.
It's what?
All the Arab. It's the Arabic. Right?
Yes, it's going to be Arab nations for sure. Probably not necessarily Iran, but whatever's left, because I think Iran's going to be before that, probably in verse 23. We looked at it one time. Sister Teresa had looked at it, and she said it was, I forget, not Yemen, Saudi Arabia, I think. I could be wrong, but anyway, one of the, it's going to be one of the Arab nation. And he says, look at this here. And the king of the south shall be stirred up to battle with a very great and mighty army. So who is going to come to the rescue of the Arabs? And here, I remember when we went over that a few months ago, and I went to have a bite to eat at a Lebanese restaurant in town here, not too far. And I got to talk to the Lebanese, and I was talking about this here, about prophecies, about the wars. And I said, okay, we know that if Israel goes to war against the Arabs, they got the support of the U.S. and of NATO. And he says, yes. Then I said, and who is going to come to fight for the Arabs and the Muslims? And he confirmed what I believed. I said, well, it will be China, more than likely China and or Russia, right? So you see here those two, how it increases, it combines. You got now this big camp that sides with Israel, and that includes NATO and the U.S. And then the camp that will side with Iran and the Arab nations is going to be the Chinese and probably Russia or one or the other. But I think it was Chinese that he was telling me. China. So we can see here two big armies. But look what it says. Look what verse 25 says. And the king of the south shall be stirred up to battle with a very great and mighty army, but he shall not stand, for they shall forecast the device against him. So Israel and NATO and U.S. are going to be stronger. Because, of course, it's going to lead to the man of sin, just Ben Gvir becoming, receiving the honor of the kingdom and even be received as their Messiah, their political Messiah. Because for them, for the Jews, their Messiah is a political leader that would give him riches and give him power over the world, you know. So then it got more details, but so we looked at a few things here that we had looked at before, but it was good to go in through this. So I think I'm going to stop right here, unless there's some questions or comments.
Mm. Is Ben Gavir religious somewhat? Because he doesn't seem to be a polarizing figure. He seems to be very, very controversial.
He's a criminal, one of the things for sure.
But how is
He's a lawyer. He's a lawmaker.
Mm-hmm.
But
for the people to accept him, wouldn't he have to have some type of charismatic, something that the people can adhere to?
It's because of the brainwash and the education that they do in Israel in portraying Palestinians as beasts, as animals that should be killed. So when somebody like Ben Gavir, who's all for the killing of Palestinians and Arabs, they are viewed by the people who have had this kind of upbringing as heroes. And Ben Gavir was like this himself. He had this picture of this man that had killed 27 Palestinians out of a rage. For whatever reason, and he had this in his kitchen, this picture of this murderer, that he was a hero to him. And so that's what this nation has been trained to model after. We need to kill the Palestinians. We need to kill the Arabs. We need to get them out. This is our land. And it's not, because they're not true Jews. They are Ashkenazi Jews, most of them. And but they're pretending to be Semites. And we'll look into that. The Ashkenaz was the descendants of Noah not from Sem, from another one of his sons. And the Semites are the descendants of Shem.
The people, the nations, isn't the nation somewhat divided about?
Absolutely, yes.
So there has to be something for them to, come together. It must be some type of deception that's going to have them.
Yeah, well, it's there because there's some that are all for that, right? For this, they have the same mentality as he does.
Right. And a lot don't.
Doesn't he already have a bunch of followers that are settlers and they follow him? And basically, I think that's how he's going to do it, because just the fact that this is our land, we need our temple, it belongs to us, and he rises up. Because you don't hear Netanyahu saying, this is our temple, it's ours. You don't see Netanyahu fighting as much as Ben Gavir for that. And that's what the Jews want. They want that temple. Yeah,
exactly. And it's not Netanyahu, because Netanyahu he's not the man that was, he was told by the Rebbe, that he was going to pass on the scepter to the Messiah. And so the one who comes after Netanyahu is the one who is expected of them to be the Messiah. So we're very, very close. Okay. And someone who says, well, Netanyahu is the Antichrist, that's as close as you can get and still miss it. It is, it's because he could be, but in a lot of ways, but he doesn't fit all the requirements. Like, when people say, well, it's Trump and all this stuff, or it's Obama or whoever it was, well, they're missing it. They do not understand that the Antichrist is a false Messiah.
There's going to have to be a lot of mind control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think, like Lisa said, maybe the galvanizing thing would be the temple. That'd be the one thing. Once that's done, that would bring the minds of people together.
Well, and also it is expected that the Messiah will be building the temple.
That's interesting.
That's in their belief as well, from the Talmud, I think, that they're expecting that the Messiah is the one who builds the temple. And this is what's going to happen. This is why Ben Gvir is so much into driving the Palestinians out, the Arabs out, and then going to get rid of that mosque, and he's going to get that temple built.
Do you remember that image that I sent you, Brother Michelle? It showed him standing in front of the temple, and I told you it looked like he was just sitting there, like I don't know if I was imagining it or what, but just like he was so obsessed with that image, that temple, and like I gotta have it. It's mine. It's mine. That's what I could see in him.
Yeah, and he's made a lot of speech like this, and he's even made some references to the 70 AD desolation of Jerusalem, and we want our temple back and all that stuff, and yeah. So,
and plus that scripture that we read tonight, he'll do what his fathers and his fathers' fathers haven't been able to accomplish.
Right.
And that feat right alone, there being able to, land in that, getting the temple built.
Yeah.
So, no one else has ever done this before.
Exactly. 2,000 years without a temple. So I'll stop that right here. I'll stop the share.